Most business owners start their morning jumping from one tab to another in their laptop or one app to another on their phone, trying to figure out what their day is going to look like. Sales are in one place, appointments somewhere else. Their content calendar is buried in some app they can't even remember what they use. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to build a live or real data, real time business dashboard inside Claude Cowork that pulls all that good stuff together automatically. A lot of people like to call it the command center. And this one will connect to Square, Google Calendar, and Notion. It will track revenue, appointments, and the content that needs to be scheduled or pushed out. And by the end of this video, you'll have the exact setup working yourself. I'm Tracy, and this is probably one of the most practical uses of Claude Cowork I've come by so far. Because this isn't just chatting to AI, this is Claude pulling live business data and organizing it into something useful every morning. So let's get into it. Before we build anything, there are three things that need to be in place. First, you need to be inside Claude Cowork on the desktop app. This doesn't work the same way in the browser. So if you are following along, start with the desktop version. Second, I'm checking which model I'm using because for this build, Sonnet is more than enough. I'm not doing anything that needs heavy models. So Claude just needs to read the connected data, understand what I'm asking, and build the dashboard. And third, the connectors. For this dashboard, I'm connecting three tools: Square for sales data, Google Calendar for appointments, and Notion for content calendar. I already connected Google Calendar and Notion in previous video, and you can check that out. So I'm not walking through those again. They just need to be connected and turned on before any of this works. So before you start, make sure yours are actually toggled on, because that's like an easy thing to miss. The new connection for this video is Square. And so when we connect Square, we're going to just go into your connector setting and find Square in the list. When it asks about permissions, choose read only because Claude doesn't need to change anything inside Square. It only needs to see the sales data so it can pull it into the dashboard. So we're going to go through the verification, click grant access, and Square will open it in a browser window. Sign in with your Square username and password, go through the security verification, and anytime you're connecting a business tool, think about what level of access it actually needs, and don't give it more than that. Click allow, then click open, and you're connected. Now, the one thing that happened to me is even though Square said it was connected, it wasn't. It didn't show up inside Claude right away, even though I had connected it. So the thing I figured out was I had to close Cowork completely and reopen it. Once I restarted the app, the connection appeared. And then check your connector settings again to make sure the permissions look right. So if you connect something and don't see it, don't assume it failed. Just close Cowork and then reopen it. Now we have our three pieces in place. We have Square for sales, Google Calendar for appointments, Notion for content calendar. And this is what makes the dashboard actually useful. It's not pulling from one app, it's pulling together the parts of the business that usually live in completely separate places. Now, I'm only using three for this demo, but you could connect your Gmail, you could connect your Google Drive, Slack, a lot of different tools. So think about what you check every morning and then start from there. Now, I'm going to give Claude some instructions. I'm not trying to write one perfect prompt that does everything. Instead, I'm telling it what I want the dashboard to do, and then I'll figure out the rest through the conversation. Now, if you notice, I'm specifying a particular Google Calendar because I set up a separate demo calendar just for this video. But if your appointments are already in your main calendar, you don't need to do that part. Just let Claude pull from the default. So now we're just watching what Claude is doing here because before it builds anything, it goes and checks each connected tool. It looks at Square, it's looking at Google Calendar, it's looking at Notion. It's pulling the data first before it writes a single line of code. And that means the dashboard is going to be based on what's actually in those tools, not just a generic layout with placeholder information. And as it works, you'll see it asks for permission before it reads from each tool. Just click allow when those come up. That's Claude checking with you before it accesses anything. And the first version is pretty good. The structure's right, the data is connecting, design needs a little work. Remember, this is a conversation, not a one-shot prompt. Do we love it? Well, of course we love it. It has everything we need in the morning. Remember, this is only 3 apps. We could add Slack. We could add our email. You name it. Well, we can add a lot of things. So that's it. But I think it needs a little upgrade. So I wanted a little bit more bougie, a little bit more not so heavy on the color, and also that it knows a little bit more about what this user needs for their morning to make it really a successful day or week. So let's get back at it. Just do a little tweaks. Just a few. Okay, well, there's a really cool thing in Claude Cowork called skills. And this one was called the Theme Factory skill. It's actually by Anthropic, and it's for these artifacts, which is what this dashboard is. And they're like built-in guides that tell Claude how to handle a specific task. And Theme Factory is one that helps improve the look of artifacts, which is what Claude calls this dashboard. Now, you don't have to do this. The dashboard already works without it. But if you want to improve the design, go to your skills, find Theme Factory, read the description, and click install. It shows up under your skills list once it's added. And now I told Claude I wasn't happy with the design. And so it said, okay, we'll change it. It changed the design, but still not what I'm looking for. Then I asked it to use the Theme Factory skill we just installed. Claude came back with a few theme options, and I picked Desert Rose because it was closest to the look I wanted. And of course, just as we're getting into it, you'll see the session compact here. That means Claude is summarizing the conversation so far and continuing from the summary. And that usually happens when the conversation gets long or the context fills up. It's not a problem. Claude will keep the important parts and move forward. So if this happens, that's just part of the build. Now it's finishing up and the new design is coming in. But I just don't want the dashboard to look better. I want it to work better. A prettier layout doesn't help if it's still showing me the wrong information every morning. So the next step I did is getting Claude to understand what this business actually needs. I don't really know what I need in the morning. So instead of guessing what every detail, I just ask Claude to interview me about the business. I find that you don't know everything up front or you forget things. So you can ask Claude to help you figure out what information actually matters for your morning. And it will ask you those right questions to get you there. So I'm going to speed this part up because the full back and forth takes a while in real time. But Claude is asking specific questions about how the business runs day to day. First, it asks what the morning actually looks like. That matters because a useful dashboard should match the way you actually start your day. I don't want it just displaying random widgets. Then it asks where the information lives. Is it in an app, in a file, or is it just in my head? And that's a really good question because a lot of business systems break down when the important stuff only exists in someone's memory. Now Claude's asking what revenue numbers matter most. For a bakery, for this demo, it could be daily sales, weekly totals, or the order volume. Now it's going to ask about Notion, what kind of content is there, and then what status each piece might have. Then the calendar, what gets scheduled, what kind of appointments show up. Each of these questions are helping Claude build a dashboard that fits this specific business, not just a generic template. Now this is a really good one because Claude asks what decisions need to be made every day. And that's the difference between a dashboard that just shows information and one that actually helps you decide what to do next. Claude also asks what's not useful. I like that question because it forces you to think about clutter or what you don't want. A dashboard can get overwhelming fast if it shows everything, and the goal isn't to display every possible piece of data. It's to show what helps you make better decisions in the morning. I don't really know what isn't useful, so I just say, I don't know. Claude's going to summarize what it understands about the business. You should look at this to see, did it miss something? Is it getting what I think it should be getting? Now, Claude comes up with something about suggesting putting the day type at the top. A client day, a baking day. So when you open it in the morning, the first thing you see is what kind of day it is. That came from the interview. I didn't think of it. Claude put it together from the answers I gave, and that's why the conversations matter more than just the first prompt. Now, this isn't still exactly how I want it to look. So if you can't describe the look you want, you can show Claude instead. I grabbed a screenshot of a dashboard I liked and uploaded it. Claude can use images as a reference. It won't copy it exactly, but it gives it a much better direction than trying to describe colors and layouts in words. I also wanted charts. When you're opening something first thing in the morning, you don't want to read through a wall of text. You want to scan, see revenue, appointments. What needs attention today? Okay, the structure is right, but it still doesn't look the way I want it to look. It's too much color, too cluttered. At this point, I wasn't totally clear on how Claude was representing the day types, so instead of assuming, I asked it to show me the difference. If you don't understand what Claude built, ask. Don't just accept the output because it looks good. And actually, that goes for any AI tool, not just this one. So I've asked Claude to pull back on the header colors and clean up the layout. And, that's the way you do it. Build the structure first and clean up how it looks. I also remind Claude about the reference image I gave it earlier. That image had pinks and greens, and this dashboard, I didn't see any greens in it. This is why the back and forth matters. You don't get everything right in one instruction. You keep adjusting until the output matches exactly what you want. Now the dashboard is updated. At the top, it shows the day type and a quick view of what's ahead. The rest organizes into sections: sales, appointment, content status. So this business owner can see what really matters without opening 3 separate apps. And because this is an artifact inside Cowork, you can pin it to the sidebar. That means you can come back to it, open it again the next morning, and it refreshes with live data from all the connected tools. It is not a static screenshot. It's something that updates every time you open it. Pin it to the top, and anytime you go into Claude, go to your sidebar, you'll see it. No manually rebuilding dashboards, no updating spreadsheets, no jumping between tabs trying to piece everything together. And honestly, this is where I think AI is genuinely useful for the business owner. It's not replacing the business, it's just organizing the chaos of running one. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.